The Miami Dolphins have just made a monumental addition to their offense, and it's one that has fans and analysts alike buzzing with excitement. In a move that has all the makings of a game-changing strategy, Ja'Marr Chase, one of the most electrifying wide receivers in the NFL today, is now a part of the Dolphins roster. The 2021 NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year has already proven himself as a force to be reckoned with on the field, and joining a squad that already boasts Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle means Miami is assembling one of the most potent receiving trios in modern football history. Let's take a moment to digest just how remarkable this receiving core could be. Tyreek Hill, known as the Cheetah, is one of the fastest players in the league, capable of turning any play into a touchdown with his unmatched speed. Meanwhile, Jalen Waddle is another dynamic receiver who, much like Hill, can take the top off a defense with his lightning-quick acceleration and elite route running. Add Ja'Marr Chase to that mix, and you have a trio that has the potential to redefine the modern passing game. These three receivers bring a unique blend of skills, each capable of winning in different ways. Tyreek's speed, Waddle's agility, and Chase's physicality and ball skills make for a nightmare scenario for defensive coordinators everywhere. This offensive overhaul isn't just about star power, though. It's about a calculated decision by the Dolphins front office to give quarterback Tua Tagovailoa the best possible weapons to succeed. Tua's potential has always been evident, but Miami has clearly decided to take his development to the next level by surrounding him with elite talent. With these three receivers running routes, Tua will have the luxury of not only targeting players with exceptional skill, but also spreading the defense thin, forcing teams to pick their poison. Do they focus on Tyreek's deep speed, Waddle's quickness in the slot, or Chase's ability to dominate in contested catches? In terms of fit, Chase and Hill both represent explosive deep threats, while Waddle's versatility makes him an exceptional asset on intermediate routes and after the catch situations. The beauty of this trio is their ability to complement each other. It's one thing to have a collection of talented receivers, but when you have players whose strengths align perfectly, it can create chaos for opposing defenses. Defenders will have to constantly worry about each of them, knowing that a misstep could result in a touchdown. Moreover, each player brings a level of consistency to the table that allows Tua to operate with confidence, knowing that he can count on his targets to make plays in crucial moments. Now, let's talk about the impact this move has on the rest of the AFC East. The Dolphins offense, which was already trending upwards under head coach Mike McDaniel, just became one of the most potent in the league. The Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots are no strangers to high-powered offenses, but Miami now has the ability to compete in that realm with a combination of speed, strength, and route-running precision that very few teams can match. The New York Jets, too, will now have to adjust their defensive game plans with the addition of Chase. Each division rival will need to rethink their approach when they face the Dolphins, as these three receivers present a challenge that few defenses are equipped to handle. What's also noteworthy about this move is the culture shift it represents in Miami. The Dolphins are no longer a team looking to rebuild or just stay competitive. They're now a legitimate contender. By making this bold move to add Ja'Marr Chase to an already loaded offense, the franchise is signaling that it is ready to compete at the highest level. The combination of their offensive firepower and a solid defense gives Miami a real shot at not just making the playoffs, but making a deep run in the postseason. The NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and Tua now has the weapons to put up the type of numbers that could elevate him into the conversation as one of the league's top quarterbacks. If the pieces all fall into place, we could be witnessing the rise of one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. From a strategic standpoint, the acquisition of Ja'Marr Chase is a masterstroke. While the Dolphins' offensive line will still be a focal point of improvement, the addition of three game-breaking receivers ensures that Tua will have the time he needs to find the open man. It also means that opposing defenses will need to commit resources to covering these receivers, leaving more room for the Dolphins' running game to operate. With playmakers like Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. in the backfield, the Dolphins now have the potential to create balanced offensive attacks that can keep opposing defensive coordinators up at night. Of course, there's the inevitable question: of how this will all come together on the field. A new trio of receivers, no matter how talented, requires time to develop chemistry. Tua and Chase in particular will need to work on their timing on communication, especially when it comes to Chase's deep roots. The same goes for the relationship between Tua and Waddle, as their connection has always been one of the highlights of Miami's offense. The key will be finding ways to maximize the strengths of all three players, ensuring that no one is overshadowed by the others and that each has their moment to shine. Hey, if the Dolphins can pull that off, we might be looking at one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. In terms of the overall impact, this move isn't just about adding a star player. It's about building a team that can compete with the best of the best. With Ja'Marr Chase on board, the Dolphins have positioned themselves as one of the most exciting teams to watch in the NFL. Their offense is now a force to be reckoned with, and it will be interesting to see how defenses react to this new-look Miami squad. As for the Dolphins fan base, it's hard not to get excited about the future. With Tua, Hill, Waddle, and now Chase, the sky is the limit for this team. If everything clicks, Miami could very well be on the path to their first Super Bowl appearance in decades. Looking ahead to the 2025 season, the Miami Dolphins are undeniably one of the most intriguing teams in the NFL. With a high-powered offense, solid defense, and a growing sense of belief throughout the organization, the Dolphins' window for contention is wide open. And with the addition of Ja'Marr Chase, they've just added another layer of firepower that could take them all the way. If this offense gels the way we all expect, there's no telling how far the Dolphins can go. The race for the AFC title just got a whole lot more interesting. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up. Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins are caught in a storm of chaos, and no one can seem to find the calm in the eye of it. This offseason was supposed to be a turning point, a time to reinforce a promising roster, to patch the holes and gear up for a campaign that will prove Miami belongs among the elite. Instead, the headlines swirling around South Beach paint a very different picture. The whispers started with Tyreek Hill, whose season ended on a sour note and who has once again made waves for all the wrong reasons. Then came a confusing and unsettling twist. Rumors surfaced that the front office was exploring a trade involving Jalen Ramsey, one of the foundational pieces of their defense. And just like that, the narrative around the Dolphins took a turn. One that's left fans frustrated, confused, or more than a little bit worried. It's hard to shake the feeling that something is unraveling in Miami, that the foundation that once seemed sturdy has begun to crack under the weight of missed opportunities, questionable decisions, and a front office that looks more reactive than strategic. The sting of losing Calais Campbell in free agency still lingers, and the signings that have followed have done little to inspire hope. Bargain bin additions are not what fans expect from a team that claims to be chasing a playoff run, and yet that's where the Dolphins have placed their bets. What's worse is the sheer number of holes that still exist throughout the roster. It's not just one position, it's several. They need 2 new starting cornerbacks. They need a safety, a defensive tackle, a guard. They need depth across both the defensive line and the secondary. The list doesn't end, it only grows. With the most significant wave of free agency now behind them, all eyes turn to the NFL draft, and not just as a means to improve. For Miami, the draft is now a lifeline. It's their best shot at salvaging an offseason that's spiraling out of control. They hold 10 picks going into the draft, but the real value lies in the first 3 rounds. Only 3 of those 10 picks fall within that crucial range, and the last of those comes all the way at pick 98. A compensatory pick at the tail end of the 3rd round. They'll also be selecting at 13 and 48, but if they want to fix this roster and fast, they might have to think bigger than just standing pat. Which brings us to the most fascinating and perhaps most critical decision the Dolphins will have to make. Should they trade down? It's a question that doesn't just make sense. It feels inevitable, with so many glaring needs. Clinging to the idea of staying at 13 and grabbing a single player may not be the best route. Not this year. Not with this roster. A trade down could net the Dolphins an additional second or third round pick, giving them a better shot at finding multiple starters, something they desperately need. Think of it this way. In a perfect world, the Dolphins would be hunting for that one last piece to push them over the edge, a game changer to complement an already complete team. But that's not the situation Miami's in. They're not trying to top off a contender. They're trying to stop the bleeding. They're trying to avoid disaster. This isn't about making a splash. It's about survival. And in order to survive, you need numbers. You need volume. You need multiple chances to hit on players who can contribute from day one. That doesn't happen when you sit on your hands and wait. That happens when you get aggressive, move back, and use every asset to your advantage. The good news is that Miami is in a perfect position to make that move. Sitting at 13, they'll likely be right behind the last of the quarterback-needy teams. If the Saints grab a passer at 9 and the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks are already off the board, there's a real chance Miami could be sitting on a prime trade-up spot for a team looking to leap back into the first round. Maybe it's the Steelers at 21. Maybe it's another team lurking in the late teens. The allure of Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders, if either falls, could spark a bidding war. And if that happens, Miami becomes the gatekeeper. They hold the keys. They control the leverage. Even if the quarterback market dries up earlier than expected, that doesn't mean the Dolphins are out of options. There will be names sliding down the board that will pique interest from other teams. Ashton Jeanty, while unlikely, could still be on the board. Tedero McMillan might be available. Miami doesn't have to reach. They don't have to panic. If they play it smart, they can turn that 13th pick into something far more valuable. Flexibility. And in the NFL draft, flexibility often means survival. This all adds up to a pivotal moment for the franchise. The kind of moment that shapes futures and defines tenures. Chris Greer is under the microscope. Mike McDaniel, once hailed as a forward-thinking offensive mind, is starting to feel the pressure of unmet expectations. And Stephen Ross, the man who's watched this team stumble through mediocrity for years, has made it clear that patience is running thin. The mandate has been set. The status quo won't cut it. Those were Ross's words, and those words have weight. If the Dolphins are going to meet that mandate, they need more than just hope. They need action. They need urgency. They need to maximize every single asset at their disposal, starting with their draft capital. Trading back may not be flashy. It may not make for the kind of headline that sells jerseys or moves merchandise. But it might be the smartest move they can make. Because right now, Miami doesn't need one star. They need a handful of reliable, NFL-ready players who can step into starting roles from the moment they arrive. This draft is more than just a chance to build. It's a chance to rebuild trust with a fan base that is stuck by the team through decades of disappointment. With players who want to see a vision and a direction. With coaches who need reinforcements to execute their schemes. The Dolphins are on the clock, both literally and figuratively, and the choices they make over these next few weeks could define the next 5 years of the franchise. So, what happens next? That's the mystery. That's what keeps fans glued to every rumor, every mock draft, every hint of movement from the front office. Will Miami play it safe and stay at 13, hoping a blue-chip talent miraculously falls into their lap? Or will they take control of their destiny, move down, and take the calculated gamble that quantity and depth will get them farther than any single first-rounder ever could? That's the story to watch. Because behind all the chaos, all the frustration, and all the skepticism, there's still a team that believes it can win. Still a coaching staff that's fighting to prove it belongs. Still a fan base desperate for something, anything to believe in. And it all starts with what happens on draft night. One decision, one phone call, one trade, it could change everything. And maybe, just maybe, it's exactly what the Dolphins need. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week?